Today, we defy the capitalist ruling class, the ruling 1% class that buys you and steals the wealth your labor creates, who pays you just enough to stay alive so that you can come to work the next day, leaving you to fend for yourself in a global pandemic. This same ruling class has sent one of their many figureheads, President of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte, to give the Philippine State of the Nation address, to stand in front of the people and tell lies. Today, the fascist U.S. puppet dictator of the Philippines parades in front of the country and tells us the great nation of the Philippines is progressing, that the COVID-19 crisis is under control, and the social aid to the poor and to the migrants is on schedule. He smiles as he justifies the killings of the 30,000 poor people, the needless attacks on human rights and environmental defenders, and justifies the abhorrent anti-terror law that criminalizes any dissent against the government. But if you go to the people, they will tell you that those are lies.
Bakit tayo nandito ngayong araw na ito? Bakit mula sa Portland, sa gitna ng isang pandemya, ng mga uprisings, sa harap ng pasistang gobyerno dito sa US, bakit tayo nandito para pag-usapan kung ano man ang nangyayari sa Pilipinas? Why are we here tonight? 4 na taon na ang mga kapwa kong Pilipino na nagdudurusa sa ilalim ng rehimeng Duterte. 4 na taon na pagpapatay, pagkukulong, pag-aaresto ng libo-libong Pilipino. Thousands of lives taken. 4 na taon na paghihirap ng mga contractual workers, ng mga overseas Filipino workers, pati ang mga J1 workers at seafarers. 4 na taon. 4 years of suffering under a fascist regime. Ang kanyang sagot na militar, imbis na free mass testing, sa harap ng COVID ay isang malaking paglabag sa karapatang pantao. Ang kanyang pagpatupad ng anti-terror law sa harap ng kahirapan at kagutuman, imbis na bigyan ng ayuda ang mga nawalan ng trabaho, ay isang kilos ng terorismo. This anti-terror law is straight out of the U.S. counterinsurgency books, inspired by the Patriot Act, and is being used to silence all dissent. Anybody can be deemed a terrorist in the Philippines and abroad. Tinatawag niya tayong mga terorista, but who is the real terrorist?
Makibaka! Makibaka! Wag matakot! Makibaka! Makibaka!
We stand with you because we are connected as indigenous people who've experienced European colonialism, settler colonialism. They have come to our lands, they came to our lands, exercised immense violence, and took. We stand with you as members of the proletariat. All of us are connected by the oppression and the collective disenfranchisement by the same masters. We are all subject to their ruling class abuses. We stand with you to resist capitalist imperialism and their well-known tactics of propping up dictators and fascists for their own benefit from afar and the benefit of the bourgeoisie who are in cohorts with them in the home country. It's with great honor and privilege that you allow me to stand with you all. And I'm here in active service of you always. The Center for Study and Preservation of Palestine will always exercise all of its resources for Anak Bayan and PDX and for anybody who identifies with the fight for justice. Thank you.
What does it mean when the government wages perpetual war on its own people? What kind of democracy murders with impunity? What president orders bullets instead of social services for all? And finally, what kind of ally allows this abuse to continue? We cannot overlook the influence of the United States in these attacks on human rights. American companies benefit from state repression and killings, both from the sale of military weapons to the Philippine government and from resources that the U.S. military steals from the people and the land. Since 2016, the U.S. has supplied $560 million in defense assistance to this regime. The military funding and assistance from the United States continue to support the anti-people reign of terror by the Duterte administration. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic, Duterte has led a brutal military campaign against the people, including a shoot-to-kill order against violators of social distancing. This should make the United States question its regular military assistance to the Philippines. However, as recently as May, the United States Defense Security Cooperation Agency announced State Department approval of 2 new foreign military sales to the Philippines. We demand an end to complicity in these human rights violations. We call on the United States government to cut all military aid to the Philippines immediately. We insist that our elected officials introduce and pass the Philippine Human Rights Act. And finally, we call on all people in the United States to join the solidarity movement for the Philippines and support the Filipino people's struggle, not U.S. war and exploitation. Long live the Filipino people's struggle for a just and lasting peace. Long live international solidarity. Thank you.
Friends and comrades, today ignite the revolutionary fire within you. Pronounce the words of the people and sing their songs of anguish and victory. Dare to struggle, don't be